Welcome to CBS19's 2023 Black History Month special. I'm Mariah Condit.
And I'm Sharday Luray. Well, we are taking this time out to highlight the Black history that has been made across East Texas, not just in the month of February, but every single day. Now, Black History Month is a time to highlight and pay tribute to the accomplishments of Black Americans, something we can easily do year-round.
However, in the beginning, it was only a week. In 1926, Harvard-trained historian Carter G. Woodson got a group together looking for ways to celebrate the accomplishments and the history of Black Americans in public schools. They focused their efforts on the second week of February. Why? Well, because it coordinated with the birthdays of two important Americans, President Abraham Lincoln and activist Frederick Douglass. North Carolina was one of only 3 states that participated that first year. It was decades later, during the Civil Rights Movement in the 60s, that the week turned into a month. In 1976, President Harold Ford officially designated February as Black History Month.
Well, tune in because we have some great stories ahead commemorating Black History Month. And in just a few minutes, we'll share how local schools reflected on desegregation through sports and what that means for the generation who lived through that very difficult time.
Also, we are talking about mental health, looking at the need for more African American therapists and how faith plays a role in leading people to treatment. And we'll wrap things up with some music with a special report on how the roots of gospel run deep in East Texas and the next generation of artists who are making their mark in the music industry.
But first, a new tribute for the grandmother of Juneteenth and Marshall native, Miss Opal Lee. You'll see a brand new portrait of, if you visit the Texas State Capitol, that is. A new commissioned portrait of Miss Lee was unveiled earlier this month in the Texas Senate chamber, where it will be on permanent display. Take a look at that. This makes her the second African American to have a portrait in the Texas Senate. It's the newest way the state is honoring the 96-year-old who advocated for years to make Juneteenth a national holiday.
And something historic happened a few weeks ago. Super Bowl 57 was the first ever head-to-head matchup between two Black starting quarterbacks, White House native Patrick Mahomes and Houston native Jalen Hurts. Both men are products of Texas high school football, but also two strong Black active dads who couldn't be prouder. What many people don't know is that Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts met in East Texas at the 2017 Earl Campbell Rose Award. Avarian Hurts is the Channelview High School head football coach, but also the former varsity coach and father of Hurts. Mahomes Sr. spent 11 seasons as a Major League Baseball pitcher before retiring to become a full-time dad and active member of the community.
My dad was always in the stands. He'd get off work and he'd be at every game. Depending on what sport it was, he was going to be there. So I decided early on that, Patrick was going to have the same support for me.
Awesome stuff. Well, Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs went on, of course, to win Super Bowl 57, beating the Philadelphia Eagles 38-35. Mahomes was named the MVP, and Mahomes Sr. now runs the youth B&M Ballers travel team alongside former Major League pitcher Willie Banks. Well, that was a great moment in history, but do you know the history of how we got here?
Yeah, there is a museum at Jarvis University that shows how far in history we have come and continue to go. Our Alan Casford took a trip to Hawkins to check it out.
James Harris, when he got his first start. Well, this is our sports room at the East Texas African American Museum. About 2 years ago, I started collecting sports magazines, photos, autograph, as well as newspaper articles concerning the history of the NFL African American quarterback. In my exhibit, there are several articles concerning how difficult it was during a certain era to have the opportunity to start as a quarterback. The first African-American quarterback during the modern era, Marlon Briscoe. This is a picture of him in action. He went through quite a bit being a starting quarterback for the Denver Broncos. He started out as a quarterback, but once he left Denver, they converted him to being a receiver. For many years, there were excuses given to not have a starting Black quarterback. And it is obvious, given the opportunity within this modern era, that black quarterbacks have been very successful. Doug Williams, with the Washington Redskins, became the first African-American quarterback to win Super Bowl. I also have a second exhibit in this room where it features the African-American NFL coaches. The first African-American coach was Art Shell. During Black History Month, it does give us an opportunity to bring forth attention on the accomplishments of persons in all fields of life. Realize the struggle, but also realize the sky is the limit. And if it's your dream to be an NFL quarterback or an NFL coach, you should pursue your dreams.
Well, this past football season, several East Texas programs decided to take a history lesson from the classroom to the football field to honor the all-black schools before integration reached our area over 5 decades ago. Sports anchor Ashley Moore takes a deeper dive into desegregation in East Texas and how schools paid homage while including descendants of the rich history in our region.
2023 marks 69 years since the Brown versus Board of Education ruling that led to the end of racial segregation in schools. Like other parts of the country, that ruling had a ripple effect in East Texas. It took Tatum ISD 13 years to integrate Mayflower High into the district.
You're no longer at Mayflower, so you need to take at least one day a week. And you need to have lunch with somebody of a different culture, different background.
Clifford Harkless is the son of late Mayflower Panthers head football coach Algie P. Harkless. His dad led his all-black team to become state finalists in 1966.
He coached me, but he never put us out in the forefront. We had to earn everything that we achieved. We earned it, and when you earn it, the people behind you, they're going to respect you.
A moment in history that was revisited during the 2022 football season. For one game, the Tatum Eagles became the Mayflower Panthers 55 years after desegregation.
We are so happy, elated. Just the gratitude that we intend to show Tatum Independent School District for giving us this night. And Mayflower will be wearing our shirts, our jerseys. This is great.
Just weeks later, another history lesson on the gridiron. The Gladewater Bears honored the city's all-black high school football team, the Weldon Bumblebees. Now, Weldon High integrated with the Gladewater District in 1969.
Football has transformed America more than anything just by the same guys get in the huddle and they have the same goal and color doesn't matter.
But Weldon wasn't just an all-black football team. They dominated for decades, 11 district championships and 3-time state finalists, with current players still in direct lineage to segregation, attending Weldon themselves, but in its transformed version, which is now the elementary school.
I had 2 grandparents that both graduated from Weldon, so it hits close to home with me, especially, to try to go out there and represent the school they play so hard for, And before the schools were integrated together, you feel me, all the black people went to Weldon, so it just means a lot to go out there and play for them, knowing what they went through.
Segregation is a symbol of inequality in U.S. history, yet through all that adversity, black Americans still paved the way.
And because we were segregated did not mean we didn't have things going on for ourselves. We were a community. We lived among our doctors, our lawyers, our preachers. Our store was black owned. Our cleaners was black owned. Our photographer was black. All we knew were black leaders.
Dr. Arinthia Mason is a longtime black leader in Tyler and a member of the last class of Emmett J. Scott High School, the all-black school in North Tyler, who were also dominant on the football field, winning it all in 1968.
We are the last of the Bulldogs. It is an honor to represent Emmett J. Scott High School because of the great education that we all received, and they sent us out to be successful men and women.
Emmett J. Scott wasn't closed until 1970, a full 16 years after that federal ruling. According to the Tyler Loop, after years of delay by white school officials, immediate desegregation had to be imposed by U.S. District Judge William Wayne Justice.
And there were times when we went downtown, you couldn't walk on the sidewalks if a white person was coming. You had to go through back doors. You can't forget where you came from.
History that seems so long ago, now center stage as community leaders and coaches do their part to relive our nation's storied past that may be gone, but not forgotten.
And I think it's important that we don't forget it. Young folk, you can make it. Learn your history. Ask your parents and your grandparents before they die, who are you and where did you come from?
For CBS 19, I'm Ashley Moore.
There's a new victim of identity theft every 3 seconds. And checking your credit score or bank statements may not be enough to alert you. That's because identity threats appear in more places than you realize. Identity thieves can use your information to open loans, transfer home titles, even commit crimes.
Someone stole my information and tried to buy a car in my name.
LifeLock monitors for threats to your identity, including ones you may miss, and alerts you if there's an issue. And if you're a victim, your dedicated U.S.-based restoration specialist will work to fix it.
If something happens, you have somebody fighting for you.
All plans backed by LifeLock's $1 Million Protection Package, including reimbursement for stolen funds.
I know LifeLock has me covered.
LifeLock, identity theft protection starts here. Call the number on your screen or visit lifelock.com/25now and use promo code 25now to save 25% on your first year of identity theft protection. Enroll now.
Well, students across East Texas got a chance to learn about Black history. Check out this celebration held at Ora Elementary School. It featured speeches and performances by the Tyler High School Choir and Jazz Band. Now, one of the speakers said he felt honored to deliver a message to inspire the next generation of leaders and history makers.
I think it's so wonderful when we have these type of programs around the country during Black History Month, because it was set aside to make sure that our young people, who are future leaders, would understand the history of our country and of our world.
Larry Wade, who you just heard from there, was just elected as the first African-American president of the Smith County Historical Society. Congratulations. Well, although the community uses this month to reflect great accomplishments, it's also a time to focus on other topics that have been stigmatized, like mental health.
Yeah, and according to the American Psychiatric Association, people from racial minority groups are less likely to receive mental health care. Jose Alonso spoke with a licensed clinical social worker and a Longview church pastor about the mental health resources that are available for Black men and women right here in East Texas.
Amen. Amen. It's a generation curse that we have not dealt with in our culture.
Gloria Lewis, along with her husband Tony Lewis, are both pastors at New Beginning Faith Ministry, a church where Gloria says they've been able to successfully help those in need, especially with mental health through faith.
God has put us here for that purpose, to see about our brothers and sisters, the strangers, whoever might enter to these doors.
A lot of times in the Black community, we're taught survival and not love.
Danica Leach is a minister in training. She's been with the church for over 22 years and says faith and the people here have prevented her from committing suicide.
While I was in that moment, I felt like that was the end. But then I heard the voice of the Lord, and he was like, not yet, it's not your time. And it was crazy because I was driving and my daughter called me at the exact time that he said that, and that saved my life.
From dealing with a stroke to anxiety and depression, Danica says she's personally sought therapy, but continues to put her faith first.
But it helps me to know that I can come to a place to get therapy. No, they're not licensed, but they're licensed by God, and I appreciate that. And if I need outside help, I know I can go somewhere else.
According to the American Psychiatric Association, African Americans often receive poor quality of mental health care and lack access to culturally competent care. I spoke with the Tyler licensed clinical social worker to find out what mental health care is like in East Texas for the Black community.
Looking at the statistics of the number of people that are African American descent doing counseling, may they be LPCs or social workers in general, or just addiction professionals, maybe 4%. You know, here we are, 18% of the population, United States wide, but here we are at 4%. You know, of people in this professional role.
Marcus Wade says he got into this industry to help people have a chance at change.
Stopping certain words from penetrating through our thought process, like this is just who I am, no one can change me, it is what it is. All those concrete type words that keep us stuck in emotional hurts. Man, I think it's the number one thing that most people that I've grew up with, they focus on is God. You know, the spiritual connection, relationship with God. And I think that probably was a important piece that kept a lot of African Americans from going through counseling, that we asked God to resolve things.
And I personally know from the Hispanic community, but I wanted to ask, is there a stigma within the African American community that prevents people from seeking help?
Yes, because a lot of times we don't want to admit that's what it is. But we want, reach out to the doctors. And a lot of people think if you go to a psychiatrist, you crazy. No, that's not it. Sometimes you just need someone else to see what you don't see.
Pastor Gloria Lewis is speaking from experience. She's recently seen a psychiatrist who helped her deal with childhood trauma.
And believe me, he got to the bottom of it in 3 visits. Yes. I could see things all the way differently that happened to me at 8 years old, but came back up again at 65. Mental health is one of those things that in the Black community, we don't like to deal with it because we're supposed to be strong people.
Rose Allen with the ministry says growing up before school integration, her parents taught her to be herself and to not seek validation from other cultures.
I have dealt with mental health with my family, with my kids, and with myself.
Regardless, she still sought help and faith for her children.
It's a valuable tool to use if you can get out of the box, get out of that stereotype, and take advantage of what's out there and it's offered.
Wise words coming from mothers breaking mental health barriers.
Depression and all those other mental illnesses, like she said, that's a spirit, and that needs to be dealt with by the Lord, but you can't have things dealt with if you don't say what you're dealing with.
And see, that's what they scared, that people gonna judge them. If they say, oh, I got a mental issue, oh, they gonna think I'm crazy. No. When you have a problem, talk to someone that you can trust. They can help you with your situation.
Jose Alonso, CBS 19.
As we continue celebrating Black History Month, we are sharing stories of living history today. You may remember seeing this quilt a couple of months ago on CBS19. This quilt was made on a slave plantation in Marshall, but it now resides in the American Museum in Britain. A Dallas man is pushing to get this piece of history back home. He says the stolen quilt was made by his ancestors on a former plantation and taken to the United Kingdom. He took his concerns to the steps of the British consulate in Houston. Brittany Ford has more on his efforts to reclaim what he calls a piece of family history and African American history.
The Chalice quilt has been on display at the American Museum and Gardens in Britain for 40 years.
To bring about a heightened awareness to help get this quilt back.
But it's a story of how it got there, recently uncovered by political activist and filmmaker Eric Williams, that has him calling for its return back to East Texas.
Started doing my slave research and ancestry and put together a film on my slave ancestors that I uncovered through Harrison County's research books, that this particular quilt was manufactured by my family.
And Finding Miriam is a documentary by Williams on his formerly enslaved ancestors in Harrison County, highlighting the journey of his great-great-grandmother, Miriam Williams.
Everything dealing with cotton was manufactured by my ancestors and others on the slave plantation of Mimosa Hall during the 1800s.
He says there are several historical narratives on how the quilt was brought to Great Britain, but they all seem to point to one thing.
We believe that it was stolen, it was taken.
Williams has been working with Councilwoman Shirley McKellar of Tyler and community leaders across the state who wrote letters to King Charles III demanding its release, an issue they brought to Houston's British consulate, hoping to bring greater awareness.
That quilt absolutely does not mean to the British people what it means to us here in East Texas.
Williams says the museum has since ceased licensing the piece and has pulled it off display, but has yet to agree to its release back to his family.
The only resistance that we're getting is from overseas, not here.
It's the final days of Ashley Home Store's President's Day mattress sale. Last chance to save up to $500 on best-selling Tempur-Pedic adjustable mattress sets. Plus, we're giving away a free Tempur-Pedic sleep system. Ends Monday at Ashley Home Store.
We were just about to turn into our street, and that's when the collision happened. I initially went with another law firm. They blamed everything on me, and they were like, we can't help you anymore. If I wouldn't have called Daniel Stark, I really don't know where I would be at. Daniel Stark went above and beyond to help me. They did everything that a lawyer should, and I'm forever grateful. I'm Mavi, and Daniel Stark fought for me.
Last chance to save big at Ashley Home Store's President's Day sale. Save up to 50% off. Shop deals like this queen bed, now only $5.99. Don't miss it. Ends Monday. Only at Ashley Home Store.
Well, we all know East Texas is in the Bible Belt, and you can't have church without the good music. Gospel music, to be exact, which originated inside Black American churches and is now gracing the stages of mainstream award shows. We saw that just a few weeks ago on the Grammys when Maverick City Music joined Quavo for a tribute to a fallen artist this year. They, alongside Kirk Franklin, also won Best Gospel Album this year for Kingdom Part 1. Their music inspired heavily by gospel artists in East Texas.
I believe when people come to church on Sundays, you really don't know what their week has been like.
Through the trials and tribulations of the week, Pastor Caraway at St. Louis Baptist Church in Tyler says all can connect to the Spirit of God through the gospel.
The impact of the music, it has a way of putting them in a place where they can relax for a moment, have that inner connection with God. Gospel music, derived from traditional church hymns, has long been a part of the Black church, gaining recognition in the 1930s. You look at a lot of the hymns tell biblical stories. Always a call for God to come to the rescue. You know, even the time that we live in now, we still have that same call for God to be our refuge, our strength.
Nancy Michelle began singing at the age of 4.
Grew up in the church my whole life. My mom's a singer.
But it wasn't until 2020, when Nancy was suddenly faced with divorce, that she took her praise to the booth.
I just hit a very, very low, a very dark place in my life, and it was a song that I actually wrote back in 2013 that actually uplifted me during that time.
And moment by moment, she hopes her music will encourage others to push through. Gospel music has a deep, soulful history in East Texas, home to the country boy himself.
Give a great big welcome for Willie Neal, the country boy Johnson on the new Kino.
When he come run out, man, the crowd just go berserk.
Willie Neal Johnson performed with other gospel greats like Kirk Franklin and was inducted into the Gospel Music Hall of Fame, all before passing away in 2001. He's remembered today by his old bandmates.
Ooh, Willie was a fun man to be around.
Yes, he was. Willie was he was electrifying. He was just one of the kind. He just wanted to get you motivated just watching him.
Brothers Kenneth and Sheldon Talley were members of Willie Johnson and the New Keynotes.
We spent more time with Willie than we did with our own family. So we were practically family out there.
Eventually winning a Stellar Award for their achievements in the gospel music industry.
You know, it was exciting because we like, man, we
understand.
But
though the country boy has passed away, his legacy lives on at the Texas African American Museum in Tyler.
We appreciated all of the great gospel music that this young man put out
to the public.
Whether traditional or contemporary, East Texans say gospel music from past to present heals the broken.
If I'm downtrodden, if I have something on my mind that I need to have uplifted, all I have to do is listen to gospel music.
And unifies the Black community.
It brings us together. Gospel music is a message of love, a message of hope, a message of inspiration.
And with every hymn, Pastor Caraway says the music is instrumental for the mind, body, and soul.
I think with our minds, the music helps us to relate to what God is capable of, and in our hearts we believe that, and then it gives our soul reassurance.
For CBS19, I'm Mariah Condiff.
Attention cancer victims who use the weed killer Roundup. A federal jury unanimously found that Monsanto's popular weed killer Roundup was a substantial factor in causing cancer. You may be entitled to substantial compensation. If you or someone you love used Roundup and were diagnosed with cancer, call the number on your screen now. Don't wait. There may be time deadlines to file a claim.
Call 800-505-9892. That's 800-505-9892.
Welcome back. Well, we just took you on a journey of the gospel right here in East Texas, but singing was also a way for slaves to express their feelings, whether it was sorrow, inspiration, or even hope. Negro spirituals have been passed down from generation to generation, and joining us today is Deshaun Neal with the illustrious Texas College Choir. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Now, how long have you been with the choir?
I have been with the choir now 2 years, and I'm loving every bit of it.
What is your favorite thing about singing with your choir?
My favorite thing about singing with the choir is that we're all on one accord. We love each other, and singing is a way that all of us can just come together and be ourselves.
I love that. Now, I had the pleasure of hearing you sing not too long ago, and I feel like you have to share your gift with our CBS19 viewers. So to finish off this incredible special, what will you be singing for us today?
Soon I Will Be Done by Mahalia Jackson.
All right, take it away.
Thank you. Soon I will be done with the trouble of the world, trouble of this world, trouble of the world. Soon I will be done with the trouble of this world. I'm going home to live with God no more. Weeping and wailing no more. Weeping and wailing, I said no more. Weeping and wailing, I'm going home to live with God.